and listen to some of the things that were talked about, when we
Yeah, sure.
um, so why don't you introduce yourself, say your name, say a little bit about your background in terms of what you studied in school, what type of professional work you've done, and why you might be interested in working in conjunction with our organization.
So my name is Ciprian Dragan. I'm from Romania, as I said. Um, my education background is in economic. I have a graduate degree and a master degree in economics and financial markets, to be more specific. And in Romania, I worked for a fire department, which is a part of government. It's a military system. It's not like here, so it's a little bit different. And I was economist in there, and I for short and my last period of time I was in Bucharest, in the capital of Romania, at the headquarters, and for foreign international affairs for fire department. It's like FEMA is the similar institution here. Yeah, so I was thinking to volunteer here, as I did in Romania as well, for several times with different organizations. And last one, it was actually involved the fire department, and with the two colleagues, and I did the same public relation type of job. It was about awareness of the kids, leukemia illness kids. So it was an awareness in Europe, through the Africa, the north in Morocco. They took a trip with bikes, and they stopped on the way to Morocco, in each country, and to each fire department, and we raised some money for a hospital near town where I lived in Romania. So yeah, it was for me it was big and important one, and to create awareness for kids. And also I was working in another organization with kids with Down syndrome, and um,
Did you? Let me ask you.
autism and autism.
Autism.
Yeah,
Okay, let me ask you a couple
yeah,
of questions. Did you have a chance to go through the a little bit to look through the material that
yeah. A little bit, and I recognize on your background some of them.
right.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
the one book that is the excerpts are pages from the one book that we sent you. Okay.
Yeah, there was a book with 58 pages, I
No,
remember. Yeah.
that's
No?
the book is 100 and something pages. That's just an
Oh,
excerpt
so,
of the book.
oh, okay, that's
That
why.
just
Okay,
goes into
it was more like a booklet or a
yes,
brochure.
you're
Yeah.
missing all the content, right? That you
Okay.
never have
Okay.
time to read right now. So that just goes into the programs, and we sent you that because of your interest in public relations. And the way that our organization works is we don't have you come in and then we tell you what you're going to do in our organization. We want you to come in and based on your interests and your background, find, a program, find more than one program that really resonates with you so that you're really excited to go ahead and make a difference in the world. Now, the difference between us and other nonprofits is enormous. Okay. We're not in the same, no matter how big they focus on one single issue. We focus on global issues that affect quality of life for literally the entire planet. Okay. And I'm going to get into that. And our goal with the people who we bring in is not that you do your ordinary volunteering. Okay. Ordinary volunteering makes you feel good and it helps a few people. And that's almost the extent of it. For the problems that we're facing as a planet right now, we have to go ahead and change people's behaviors. And the people that we bring into our organization, we want to show them that they're a lot more powerful than they think. They can affect positive change in other people to a much greater extent, because guess what? That's what's needed in the world today. If everyone is just doing their own thing, right?
Yes,
Just to help
agree.
this and this and this, we're never gonna, thank you very much. Thank you. We're never going to go ahead and solve these tipping point issues. We're never going to close the gap on these inequalities that people around the world face in economics, in health, in social issues. So the thing is, what I want to share with you is really, the scope of what we do. And as I go through these things, I want you to think about what really strikes home to you. What could you see yourself doing in a really big way through our organization? We have the systems to make it happen. We need help in terms of the right people coming in with the right attitudes and the right desires in order to have that huge impact. I just spoke with someone earlier today, and they're just happy going ahead and teaching a few students, a few children. Okay. The same thing that's being taught in schools, right, for millions of kids, mathematics and STEM. I said, I'm sorry, that's not our program. Okay. You came to our orientation, right? And we said that's not the type of thing that we do. So, then when you come back and you start talking to me about the same thing, we're just not the right organization for that. There's plenty of other ones that are out there designed to go ahead and help, small groups of people and have an impact where you can feel good about what you're doing. That's wonderful. We want people to feel good about what they're doing, but being a positive impact on literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Okay. So if you think that that might apply to you, I'll be more than happy to go ahead and spend some time and share. If you think that you want to help, right, just a few people and you're happy with that, then let me know now. Okay. And that's perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
what would you like to do, Ciprian?
I think I believe in me in the power to like you said to change basically the world, the how the people behave. And I think the one of the most important key role in this, I think it's education. And for me it's education, because through the education people can, and a good education, good information, I mean, not like you said, math or a foreign language or something like that. No, a good education to explain or to make understand how the things are in life, how the developing steps of ourselves are in the stages of the life, and by ages, by but how we are mature in time from being a kid to adult. So this is kind of thing I like it, and I will like to do it.
Okay.
Uh,
Very, very good.
and I believe strongly in education. By education,
Well,
like I told you, financial education.
we
Uh,
are
uh,
we are an
s-
educational nonprofit. However, what you're going to find is that education is only part of the answer. And as I go through this, I'm going to explain more and more about what the real keys are to being successful at providing quality of life for kids, people, and the planet. It's not just education. That's part of it.
It's
Okay.
part of it, of course.
But you're going to find out very clearly what the rest of it is. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen, and I'm going to go through the other half of the book that you didn't get. Okay. But I'm going to skip over most of it and just focus on the things that might have a connection to you. And then we'll talk, and there's going to be a lot of information. So don't worry about, absorbing it all. Don't worry about keeping it all straight in your head. Okay. It's just for you to see the scope of what we do. And then if anything jumps out at you, just make a note of that. Okay. Because later we'll have another conversation where you've had a chance to digest some things. And then we'll get a little bit deeper into the areas that you want to go into, and we'll show you how our system can help make it happen in a big way. Because we have our programs, what governs our programs are called action packs. They're really 8-step systems to making them successful. Okay. So I'm not going to necessarily share the action packs with you today. First, it's going ahead and, like I said, right, having you understand what our mission is, our vision is, and how we're going to go ahead and make it happen around the world. And for you, right, who does have a lot of experience around the world and speak a lot of languages, what you can do with our organization is certainly not confined to the United States. Okay. Everything you can do here, you can replicate in any other country that you want. You can do it in both. Okay. And there's also mechanisms that we have for you to go into management and leadership and build a team so that you can exponentially ratchet up what you're doing. Okay. And really explode, right, the service work for the benefit of others. And a lot of our programs are quantifiable in terms of what the results are from what you do. Okay. So let me go ahead and share. And as you saw, this is not what I'm sharing. Okay. I'll go ahead and share the one book. Okay, so the one book is The Fight for Survival of the Human Race, and it's your guide to the collaborative programs and initiatives needed to help solve social, environmental, economic issues on a local to global scale at your company, faith-based, nonprofit organization, government agency, school, network, or home. Okay. And let's see. I'm going to skip over just an awful lot of content. Okay. This is what wasn't in your materials. All of this. Because it's just a lot. Okay. So now we're going to get into some of the programs. First of all the programs we have are fully aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. If you're not familiar with them, they basically cover quality of life, right, for people on the planet, from poverty to hunger to education to gender issues to environmental issues. Okay. All these aspects. And our programs are based on collaboration between people, institutions, and countries, and built on the principles of civility, equality, education, action, inclusion, sustainability. In other words, quality of life for all. Well, that's great. But, we are at the tipping point for humanity. And this decade is going to determine quality of life for billions of people on the planet. And the problem is that we're using a fractional approach to solving these global issues, as we've seen with the pandemic, as we've seen with so many other things, and it just doesn't work. Okay, so we have to start collaborating to succeed. We've got to actually collaborate to survive, because once things get scarce, once climate change, is affecting people on literally monthly basis, which it's getting to now in certain parts of the world, okay, then there's going to be a fight. There's going to be fights over resources. Okay, there's going to be fights because of scarcity. And once it starts that real downward spiral, as we see in conflicts right now, right, it's really hard to stop.
I agree.
So this is what's at stake. Okay. And then we have the solution that we're doing is to bring people together using a collaboration think tank system. So we invite influencers, corporations, governments, NPOs, faith-based organizations, educational institutions to come together where they choose what SDGs they're interested in. We break them into teams. We have meetings where we go over, okay, what are the objectives that we've got to achieve for this SDG? What are the problems associated with it? Now, the solutions, and this is what's also different, come from 4 sources. They come from business, the scientific world, government, and academics. And they're working together on these solutions. And the solutions have to be actionable, either by one of 2 groups. One group are individuals, students, employees, owners, retirees, and the unemployed, from the grassroots up, where they can take action and do that behavioral change that we were talking about. The other is implemented by institutions where they can go ahead and pass that down, the benefits down to, right, their members, constituents, customers, whatever it is. Okay. And this is how we're going to go ahead and collaborate to push back. But at the same time, you need the delivery systems that cover just about everyone, because not everybody's interested in attending a course for education, reading a book for education. Some people might want to do events. Some people might want to do activities. Some people might want to, right, do initiatives, fun things to do. Okay. So we've over the years had to develop, right, things that can impact all types of individuals, all types of institutions, as well as have, right, the outreach programs to make that impact. And this is what makes us tremendously different from any other NPO or NGO on the planet. What we do is called social responsibility entrepreneurship. Everything we do is built on entrepreneurial models, because that's my background. Okay. So I'm not going to go into real details about, how it works, but this page shows how an impact area can work when we analyze what's going on in the US prison system. Okay. I mean, it'll take me about 10 minutes to explain this page, right? And it may be overkill for right now. All right. But the point is that we have programs that go into every age that act as a support system for people, no matter where they are in life. What you are actually talking about earlier. Because when you have programs like that are available, people then have, right, that support where it acts as protection against some of the difficult things that we're going to go through in life, because we're not taught how to deal with those difficulties in school. Okay. But as we get older, we're going to encounter more and more difficulties in our life. It's really that simple. And if you don't have the right support system, then the impact is much more forceful, right, on your enjoyment and on your happiness and on your health. So that's one of the biggest ways that we go ahead and help people, is by putting them into systems where they can develop those support systems. And I'll get into that more, so it's not so just, wordy. okay, that it's more tangible. Okay. So included in with the collaboration think tank is we have a whole program for volunteers where they can come in, be a part of it. They can choose whether they want to do data and analytics, whether they want to do meetings and events, whether they want to do marketing and public relations, right? Or even business development. And then for people who just want to volunteer and spread the word and be part of some of the things that we do, they can be called volunteer ambassadors, okay, around the world. Okay. So that's the collaboration think tank. And, you know, we do a lot of data analysis, research into problem areas, like I said. So we researched into, in the United States, the effect of climate change over a 20-year period. And what we found is for literally the first 16 years of that 20-year period, there wasn't that much of an uptick. Okay. Yes, there was some towards the latter years, but when you get into the third and fourth year, under all of these things, hurricanes, floods, electricity, drought, fires, what you find is that the damage to either society or loss of life or economic damage in those 3 to 4 year periods was almost equal to the first 16 years. And in the 2 years since, right, the data was available, what we're seeing is, you know, empirical evidence of it on the news every single night with the amount of fires, with the amount of floods, okay, that people are going through. So this isn't going to be getting any better anytime soon without a collaborative effort. And if it gets worse and worse and worse, well, it's going to put billions of people at risk. I read an article early this week about a doctor in the United States who was originally from India. He went back to India as he does every year, but this year he went back and his intent was to see the effects of heat on the population. So he toured different cities. He, you know, interviewed doctors. He interviewed, you know, people on the street. And what he concluded was that, right, the rise in temperatures and how unprepared they are to deal with that, it's going to put over 1 billion people at risk in India alone. That's basically 1/8 of the world's population. Okay.
Of course, India is a big country, but
it's a huge country, but
yeah,
it also has impact on other countries as well.
Of course.
So the thing is that 50% of the people who work in India work outside. They only have air conditioner for about 4% of the population. Okay. A lot of people are going to die. Okay. In the United States, heat kills more people than any of the other climate change related issues today. Okay. And all of this is underreported. So whatever we hear in the news, whether it's about the pandemic or about, you know, it's all underreported. And that's another issue. Okay. So the thing is that if you're in business and, you know, we have a very, a very rigorous internship program for undergraduates, grad students from NYU, Columbia, University of Pennsylvania. We're accepted by Harvard, MIT, schools all the way out to California. We've had the live portion in our New York office shut down for COVID for 3 years now, unfortunately, but we still do remote. And the thing is that when we get economic students in and they're going into forecasting and everything else, I say, you know, well, good luck with that, you know, 5 or 10 years, right, in the future, because all the models that you're using are going to be basically garbage. They're not going to mean anything because, you know, you can't go ahead and have, you know, models that are based on stability when there is no stability in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
It just won't work, right? So why bother? Because you can't predict, right, chaos, and you can't predict
I mean,
acts
I
of
mean
God.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think they try to predict the simple thing, the usual thing, but they cannot take into account the unusual thing, like unexpected. So
And
it's hard to predict. I
that's
mean,
right.
we can predict if everything will be good,
But it's
but
not going to be, and that's the point.
yeah,
It's going to be unpredictable, and all your models are going to go to hell. And if you think that your business isn't going to be affected, well, right, it may be your supply chain that's unaffected. Okay. It might be your customer base that's affected. It may be your personal life because your area that you're living has been flooded out 3 times in 3 months. What type of quality of life are you going to have when that happens? And how are you going to run your business when you're dealing with that in your personal life? These are all things that are going to happen. Okay. And to a certain extent are starting to happen a lot more frequently now in different areas around this country and around the world. So this is what we have to look forward to. This is what our children have to look forward to. That's why it's so critical to let people understand that the normal ways of handling situations aren't going to be enough. And if all we're going to go ahead and do is, volunteer to teach math, okay, when there's teachers who are doing this, right? And, we can let them sit down and watch YouTube videos on math, right? It's not the
yeah.
most ideal thing in the world, right? But maybe we need to be doing some things differently. Okay. So, okay. That's where we're at, unfortunately. So, what we go ahead and say to people is no matter who you are, you're more connected and more powerful than you may think. And what we ask people who have the book to do is share the one book or a specific program with your community, whatever your community looks like. And you don't have to explain all the details that go into a program. That's what we do. You make the connection, we build the relationship, and when they collaborate, you're the hero because you made it happen. So if you're interested in helping youth with, in schools, okay, well, we already did the research in terms of where you can go in order to make your impact. Okay. If you're interested in faith-based, we already researched where you can go. If you're interested in NGOs around the world, well, here's where you can go. Okay. So we took some of the homework out of it to make it easier for people. Okay. Skip. We have a constitution, right? The Karma Constitution that governs
Karma, yeah, I read
what we
about that.
do in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah. And at the heart of our programs are the Karma Club. So one of the things that I've done in, let's say, my previous life, I was a game designer. Okay. And when I was thinking about, things that we can do for our organization, after the election in 2016, when Donald Trump got elected, I felt that regardless of what side you're on, what political, feelings you have, this was not going to be a good thing for the country in terms of people coming together. It was going to split the country apart, and people, unfortunately, were going to die over this. And that's when I came up with Planned Acts of Kindness as originally a program in my other nonprofit called 16 Things Kids Can Do. And what I did was I gamified karma. So karma has been around for a little while on this planet, okay? And we deal with the positive aspects of karma. So the thing is that Every day when you wake up on your cell phone, computer device, there's a new planned act of kindness that you can do with your friends, family, coworkers, and in your community. And the goal is to have tens of millions of people in the US, hundreds of millions of people around the world waking up and doing the exact same planned act on that same day all over the planet and unleashing that much positive, powerful energy into the world. You know, the keys to living happier, healthier lives, not how much money you make, not how many toys you have, not how many drugs you take, but really the quality of your relationships. Okay, your sense of
Okay.
community. That's what, enables people to have happier lives. And that's what the Karma Club enhances in people. Okay. Now, the problems of the world, pollution, climate change, pandemics, all these things, right? As well as the inequities that we all face, they're not going to be solved by governments and companies alone. Okay. They have competing interests. Okay. So they're going to have to be solved by ordinary people like you and I working together on common causes with a common focus. And the goal is to have the Karma Club in all 200 countries after we launch in September. And we'll have millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people that will be able to call together at a moment's notice to go ahead and work to get governments and companies to do the right thing for kids, people, and the planet. So that's the collaborative nature of the Karma Club. And the way it works is that there are 4 different achievements, activities that you can do during the month. You can do your planned acts, you can do engagement, volunteerism, support. And when you do these, you actually can level up in the Karma Club, and then you're eligible for gifts and rewards. And the goal is really to be giving away hundreds of gifts every single day to random people around the world who have leveled up. Okay. So kindness, civility, gratitude, okay, those are all part of the pillars of the Karma Club. And actually, by extension, One Planet, One People, which is another program that came out of Planned Acts of Kindness that is now its own nonprofit, just like Planned Acts is now its own nonprofit. Okay. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to take those planned acts and that civility, and we want to put it into the educational system in schools all over the world for kids as young as 4 years old. Because in this country, people have lost their civility. People have lost their kindness. And it needs to be taught. And if we teach it, and it's going to have a ripple effect on society where there's going to be a reduction in gun violence and domestic violence, in religious, racial, gender intolerance. There's going to be, less people who are anxious, lonely, depressed, suicidal. Okay, because they have the support system. They've got the relationships. Okay. And this is what the programs can do. So that's one area. Another is putting our One Planet, One People clubs into schools so that kids can come into the club, and then based on their interests, they go ahead and gain skills, but also they do work that benefits other people. Okay. So one of the things I ask my college students, whether they're undergraduates, graduates, or even postgraduates, I say, think about all the classes, all the courses you had before you got to college. Think about all the ones you had in college. Think about all the assignments you did, all the papers you handed in, all the tests you took. Did any of them impact other people's quality of life in a positive way out of all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours you spent in school, literally thousands of hours that you spent in school. What about you, Ciprian? Right? Can you think of anything that you did right early in your education or later in college that really benefited other people?
I don't know, but I hope so. In the college and in the school.
There's not really, it's
Well,
not focused on that. That's not the opportunity that they give you.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, that's what,
Only as a side, uh, let's say, job, what I did.
right. And that's not
Yeah,
part of, that's a different system. So the thing
yeah,
is, what we're going to be talking about around the world is that we need to integrate, right, helping others into the school systems so that kids can learn what it means not only to develop real world skills, but also to be of service to other people. Because we can't afford now just to do education for education's sake. We're past that point. Okay. I went to law school because I wanted to help people because I had a difficult childhood with family. And I started working when I was 11 years old. And people who I didn't even work for, people who I met took an interest in me, talked to me, listened to me. And I knew I couldn't repay those people directly, but they made a huge impact on me because of the kindness that they showed. And I wanted to go into a profession to help others. So I went to law school and then found out I was really naive. Law school in the United States is not about helping people, right? My friends were in it. I felt for the wrong reasons. I didn't even like my friends in law school. Okay. And then I ended up doing an internship in the Attorney General's office in Albany, New York, in the state capital, one of the best positions in the country, writing memorandums of law on public health and other issues. They liked what I did. They offered me a job. And I'm like, I'm flattered, thank you. And then I went and I quit because I felt like I was a hired gun. Okay. I felt like just because I can do something well, right, that didn't make it the best way to handle the situations. There are other ways I knew, right, that we can handle adversarial conflict without it costing so much, right, and with quicker, better outcomes. So, but when I was in law school, I took contracts. I didn't learn to write a contract till I was out of law school. Okay. It's not really a great system. So we also need, at the same time we're doing these things, is really to go ahead and go back to a system that worked tremendously well for like 10,000 years. And that's the apprentice system. Put people in real world situations where they're doing actionable work that has meaning, and then let them learn from those situations. Because what they're teaching in school isn't what goes on in the real world. And I have the hundreds of students who have been through my program in all different disciplines that really just prove it every single time they turn in assignments. Okay. So education's great, but it needs to be the right type of education for the world that we're living in today. And it's not. And it's not. So, okay. So those are two youth programs. We have, like I said, internship programs for older kids. And we go into 50 different disciplines, but we add in 8 foundation skills. And this is actually a course that we're developing for companies as well. It's our 8 foundation discipline course, where we teach the collaborative nature of communication, business, marketing, management, office technology, research, problem solving, and time management. Because these are the skills that people need to have to move from being workers, which is what our system teaches people to be, into really management and leadership positions. Okay. I get master's students, right, that come onto a call on Zoom, and this is how they talk, like this, during the whole conversation. And then when they're not talking and they're listening like this. Now,
So they are good listener.
Yeah, they're good listeners. Right. But the
they
thing
were taught in school to do that. So
that's really awful.
So they did what they learned.
I said, you go into a meeting like that, with your managers, and you sit there like that during the meeting, right? They're going to want to kick your, out of the, kick your butt out of the company. Okay. Because, they don't know whether they're getting through or not with what they're talking about. And so anyway, yeah, we need to have a different approach to education. That's what makes our internship so valuable and so different from what's being taught, because we'll fill in the gaps that the professors don't, that that they need to bridge from what they're taught in school to what they really need in the real world. Okay.
We learn in school. I mean, in school, they're taught us patterns. So there's a pattern. You do this and this and this, and okay, you're good for life. But life is above patterns. It's more than this.
Right.
So
exactly.
It for me. I mean, you just put a lot of triggers in me, because what you said, and I was very focused, because I was on that path. I lived that problems. So that's why I told you at the beginning. I mean, life, it's more than, like you said, math. It's about what's happened in different stages, and when and how, and to cope. Basically, it's how we're gonna manage. Like you said, management, I think it's crucial in our life, because a lot of people can do the basic management of their life, with finance, with family, with emotions, with
absolutely correct. 100% correct. And you just hit on a whole bunch of triggers, okay, that we want to go ahead and solve in the future. Like, you want to get married? Well, you're going to have to take a course in it. Okay. In communication. You want to have kids? You're going to have to take a
exactly
course, right?
Exactly. That was my next question. If you want to get a kid, it's not easy. I mean, I have friends and talk with them, and with the kids, some kind of problem. Of course, there are problems. We never thought how to grown up a kid. That it's not a manual, like you open it and here is how you raise it. But even if there will be, and now they are a couple, it's still complicated, because we are human beings. We are not like a robot.
And then two parents can have completely different approaches to how they handle situations, and then you've got a whole mess on your hands from that as well. Okay, so I didn't give you the rest of my background. After I left law school, I started a marketing, design, and printing company, because when I was an undergraduate, I went to University of Florida, where I grew up in Florida after. And my undergraduate was in English literature with a specialization in what's called literary criticism. So you had to read, like, sometimes, really famous works of literature, and then still analyze them at the highest level possible. Where people written
a lot of work.
Right. And so there's not a lot of people who go into that, because it's really, really tough. But the thing is that I started the schools, University of Florida had about 45,000 students at the time. Okay. And I started the school's literary magazine there. And because of my background and interest in that, that's why I went into marketing and design, because also I have an interest in business as well. So during the course of that business, I designed a prototype for a national magazine based on relationships, and I moved to New York, pitched it to Time Warner and Cable News. They both offered me contracts. And 6 months later, I was publishing a magazine designed to help people deal with the complexities inherent in all types of relationships, intimate, family, friendship, and work, because I felt that everything in education and careers were devoted to helping people do the best they can as workers. And basically, your life is in three components. Okay, there's your relationships, there's work, and sleep. So sleep is neutral, so you throw it out, and you got your work and your relationships. So we go to school for 12, 16, 18, 20 years. When we get out, we go to jobs, and we got books, courses, seminars, continuing ed. Everything is designed to help us be really productive workers. Okay.
Yes, I
Then
agree.
our relationships, what do, Ciprian? We talk to our friends, we look at our parents, and then we still screw it up because
Divorce.
we haven't
Yeah.
been given the common sense communication tools necessary to handle the complexities inherent in all these types of relationships. So that's why I wanted to come out with a magazine to help people with that. And actually, it did. It was very successful as far as readership, and even the psychological community went ahead and referred it to clients, which I was surprised about because I'm not, I was an English major, right? I went to law school, okay? But everything I do actually is grounded in psychology and sociology, as you'll see.
This is the, for me, when I talk about education, this is
Yeah.
the root for me for education. I mean, a person to be a better person has to learn about himself and to understand his feelings, his emotions, and himself,
Right.
and in order to help others. And only after, I think and I believe that we can help others when I'm okay with me, and I can understand my feelings, and I can understand how my body, my brain, and my emotion works. Because for me, that was a trigger when I start learning about that, when I learn,
Right.
and after that, oh, now life, it's complicated still,
Well,
but more
Ciprian,
simple.
you're a bright guy, okay? Okay.
Thank you. You too.
And
Definitely. You're more
and
than I
you're
am.
well,
That's for
no, and
sure.
you analyze and you're introspective and you take that, and that's really great. But I got to tell you, not everybody is as attuned, right, to that as you are. So what we say is, right, do the behavior, do the behavior, do the planned acts, and that will go ahead and cause a fundamental shift in yourself over time. Even if you're going into it not for that reason, okay, you do enough of it, it will help you on that emotional development cycle that we should be going through. Okay. And that's what's really kind of cool. Okay. I have more things to talk to you about, not only in terms of the programs, but I'm going to stop in terms of something, and which I don't do during these things. Okay. But based upon something that you said, some things that you said earlier, I'm going to let you know that we are starting for the first time a business program for people to come into our organization and, basically do sales business development of our programs on an institutional level to organizations. And when you're successful at making that connection that I spoke about, okay, and then doing the relationship, some of the activities, responsibilities that you need to move the client's programs forward in conjunction with our NPO, we're going to go ahead and pay tremendously well. Okay, at rates that are unheard of in the nonprofit world, but also in the business world. Okay, so if you're interested in that aspect, I will get you the information that you need
Yes, why not?
Yeah, to review,
Yeah,
because,
yeah, sure.
right, it seems like we are pretty much on the same wavelengths, more than one, right? On a lot of
Yeah.
things. And I got to tell you, what I was talking about before with people who are just volunteering, that, and I'll get more into this as I get into more of everything as we talk. But the thing is that we need to have people have a shift where they do the behavior, because what we're talking about is really the end of civilization around the world as we know it. If there's fights for these scarcities, for these, foods, and if we're undergoing basically the pandemic of the month, which seems like what we're going now, you know, every few months there's a different variation of the of COVID. Now we've got
Yeah.
monkeypox, right? Next month it's going to be, avian flu again, right? Or SARS or whatever,
Something else, yes,
or
of
something
course.
else from the permafrost, right? In the Antarctica, right? That's defrosted now because of climate change, and
Yeah,
it's going to release, right, microbes that we have no immunities for, because
yeah,
they were
I can.
frozen a million years ago. Okay. Okay. Don't get me started. Okay.
I never thought about that, but yeah, this is smart and makes
Yeah.
sense.
So the
Yeah,
thing is, we need people like you who get it, who understand it, and who are willing to go ahead and kind of like act as owners, not just workers. Okay.
yeah,
Or get involved in management, leadership, but the way that they're rewarded is based upon their performance, but at a very, very high level, where we're going to show you how you can also build a team that can
okay.
exponentially ratchet up what you're doing, but also you share in the profitability of what your team does because you're managing it.
Yeah, of course.
And it's a different way of doing things, but everything that we got to do is different. Okay. Not just to be
Mm,
different, because the old systems aren't working so well.
of course, we have to act different if we want to have a different outcome. So
That's Albert Einstein.
yes, very
Okay.
smart.
So I
So
say
I like this quote of Einstein.
it is,
Yeah,
it's very good. And I say, be the
Uh,
change. My quote for me is, be the change that you want to see in the world.
in the world. Yeah. Gandhi,
Okay.
right?
So, there's a lot of different things that we can do. Okay. I'm going to go through some more, and you got to tell me how you're doing for time. Is there a specific time that you want to go ahead and that you can end, so I know how to pace myself and I know to stop telling stories and everything else?
I'm just waiting a, a call to to go, but until then,
Okay.
I'm here, and um, yeah, around 11, until around 11.
Okay. Well,
I mean 11 my time. I don't know what's your time.
I'm in New York.
11. Oh, okay. So we are on the same page, right?
We're in the same page in the same city. Yeah. So we're good. So
Not that far.
one of the, we have career track management programs. We have a lot of educational programs. You're talking about economics, right?
Psychology, like you said, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
well,
part of education for
right.
me.
It's an important part, which isn't being adequately handled because everybody's focused on STEM. Everything's, science, right?
Yeah.
Technology, okay, education and math. And the thing is, yeah, that's great if you want a bunch of workers. Okay. And the companies need workers. Okay. They
Of
don't want
course.
more leaders. They don't want more people starting their own businesses. Okay.
No.
But what the world needs now are more people who are entrepreneurial than ever before.
I think this is
These machines.
the future.
Yeah. So, one of the things, one of the big areas that isn't being taught adequately in school at any level is how money really works. Okay. In this country, we go to school for 12, 16, 18, 20, 24 years, and you can major in finance, economics, and business. And all you learn is the Wall Street way of how money works. But Wall Street doesn't work for 95% of the population. Wall Street works for Wall Street. Okay.
Yeah,
So the
for a few
thing is,
guys.
yeah. So the thing is that we need to go ahead and educate the students, their parents about how money works and then what they need to do to really have the foundation for their future. And the foundation isn't being provided by the companies you work for in your 401k plan. It's not being provided by the government. Okay. And it's certainly not, being provided by, right, the education that we got. So the thing is that we teach how money really works. And then we also have programs that we can put people into that are part of the tax code, but it's part of the tax code that was written by the rich for the rich. So the benefits are much greater. But the thing is, if you go to those billion-dollar providers, those financial companies, they're not going to give it to you because you're not rich. You're not putting in the money that the rich put in. So they're not going to take the time. And 99% of the people in those companies don't even know about it because they don't deal with the rich people in their company either. Okay. So I've written a book about this because when I made money as an entrepreneur, there's basically two things you do with it. You put it into real estate and you put it into the stock market. I put it into real estate and it was a pain in my you-know-what. I put money into the stock market and you don't earn money in the stock market. You win it or you lose it. It's a gamble, no matter what they tell you. So the thing is, it's a gamble, okay? It's a gamble. Warren Buffett lost something like $4.7 billion recently, okay? So even the best of the best lose, okay?
Yeah, but he has a lot of.
He's got a lot of money to lose, but
Yeah.
that's why the rich get richer and the middle class, don't. And the poor take generations sometimes to get out of poverty because when you're dealing with the smaller numbers, it's much harder to make those larger gains. Okay, you're an economist, economist, right? I'm an English major, okay, and I know that much. Okay, so the thing is that I ended up, winning money in the market and I ended up losing money in the market. The problem was I lost 6 figures in the market. Okay. And I couldn't afford that being middle class with 2 kids that were going to go to college. So I started to investigate and I became a financial advisor and I worked with some good companies. Okay. And I did a lot of research as I always do. And then what do I do when I research? I analyze and then I synthesize and then I come up with systems to solve problems. Okay. So I wrote a whole book on this and it's called The Working Dead. We're coming out with a revised edition, right? This fall. And it forms also the backbone of our course called Money Matters Mastery. Because what do you want to do with your money matters? You want to master it.
Of course.
Okay. So it's Money Matters Mastery that teaches what isn't being taught in school. And then we have programs that actually can go into companies, into organizations, into schools, okay, where we provide the programs at no cost to the organizations. They don't have to pay a setup fee. They don't have to pay an administration fee, and they don't have to pay a match to the employees who put money into their retirement account. But the programs have a tremendous advantages over the ones that they do provide. The 401ks, the 403bs, the 457 plans for government employees. Those only give you the opportunity for growth. Any growth that you have, it's on paper. It's not your money until you pull it out. If you pull it out too early, you get hit with a penalty and you get hit with taxes.
Of course.
Okay.
Almost half, right?
And the programs that we put people in, first of all, there's a guarantee safety for your principal. With the stock market, when you put your money in your 401k, there's no guarantee. You can put money in every paycheck for 3 years and have all this paper growth. And then there's a market correction and you can lose 50% of your portfolio. And what people don't realize is when you lose 50% of your portfolio, what's going to have to happen for you to go ahead and break even again? Those stocks are going to have to double. And you don't hear just to break even.
Yeah, just to break even. Exactly.
Yep. And you don't hear about stocks doubling very often. So the thing is, when we put people into these programs, there's a guaranteed safety. They cannot lose principal. Then any growth that they get on an annual basis is automatically converted to principal. And you can't lose principal. So what that also means is that you can compound your money, which you can't do in the market. Okay. Albert Einstein, smart guy, said the 8th wonder of the world, compound interest.
Yeah.
Compound earnings. Okay. Now you also get protections, asset protection. Anything happens to you, your family gets a lump sum. Okay. And also the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country, it's not credit card debt, it's not failure in business, it's health. And it's not the ones that you get covered by your company when you get sick, right? When you go ahead and break your arm. It's long-term care, chronic care, dementia, and Alzheimer's. 7 out of 10 people in this country are going to need long-term care, and it's not covered by company plans. And the average cost in the United States is over $300,000. Now, most people don't have that in their bank accounts.
Of course.
Okay. So if they got equity in their home, like my grandmother did, when she needed long-term care, we had to go ahead, spend down her bank accounts, sell her condo at a loss because we needed the money for her health care. And then when she was bankrupt, that's when the government steps in to go ahead and provide long-term care. But they tell you where you go and what that level of care is. So you're not in control. That's not a good end of life scenario, but that's what people face. Okay. So when we put people into these plans, we try to get them to maximum that they're allowed by the government under HIPAA, and that's $10,000 a month. And all they need is a doctor's letter that says they can't do any of the 2 daily assisted living activities. They don't need to provide receipts. They don't need to use it for direct medical coverage. They can have their kid take care of them. They can have their spouse take care of them. And they could use this money to pay their mortgage, pay their rent, right? Pay to somebody, have them take them to the store to buy food, groceries. Pay to go see their grandkids, whatever they want to use the money for. And lastly, the tax advantage that the government and the company tells you that you're getting with your 401k, what they say is, hey, you're going to get a deferment, right? We're not going to take taxes out of your paycheck. Isn't that great? And you go, sure, I don't like paying taxes. Well, guess what? Right? When you need the money the most and it's grown the most, that's when the government is going to tax it. So if you think that you can pull out $30,000 a year, okay, or whatever the number is, to help you with supplement your Social Security, okay, which isn't that much per month, well, guess what, right? You might be paying 50% in taxes at that time or more. Okay, so when you were working and you can afford to pay the taxes, that's when you should have paid it. And that's completely 180 degrees the opposite of what the government and companies are telling their employees. Okay, because they both make money on the employees doing it the wrong way. So in the programs we put people in, they can pull the money out at any age, and there are no penalties and there are no taxes, and they don't have to pay it back.
That's huge.
It's huge. And
It's huge.
we're going to start offering these programs to companies around the country as part of our work-life balance programs that can really change the way that they treat their employees. And one of these programs is Project COPE. It's our health, happiness, and wellness program. And in this program, people come in, they take a written assessment, and then they get a baseline health, happiness, and wellness score. And remember the planned acts of kindness and the Karma Club and those activities that people can do, right? The planned acts, engagement, volunteerism through our organization. They do those activities, and then at regular time intervals, they retake their assessment. And over time, it will quantifiably show how doing planned acts of kindness on a consistent basis will improve your overall health, happiness, and wellness. And this is a wellness program that we want companies and schools and faith-based and government to adopt for their people and provide. Yes, this can be a game changer in terms of, right, you know, social activity, social responsibility activities that people do, the quantity, the number, okay, as well as reducing, right, mental health illness, okay, antisocial behaviors, the whole gamut of what we talked about before. Okay. And, you know, when we do our programs, Ciprian, I create the programs, I write the programs. Okay. So everything that you see, but I also bring in, after I'm done writing and designing it, so it's in it, basically it's almost finished form, I bring in people who are real experts in those fields. Okay, at the top of those fields. And I have them go through my programs to go ahead and give me feedback on where it needs to be improved or how our message might be improved. So for this program, we brought in somebody who worked for Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, setting up pharmacological clinical trials for basically testing the efficacy of their drugs. Okay, because I created this as a clinical trial, but not using drugs, using planned acts of kindness. Okay,
completely different.
Completely different. So one day she got on a call with me and she was laughing. And I said, "What are you laughing for?" I said, "What's going on?" And she said, "You know, I was thinking about this, and I get paid an awful lot of money to do what I do, you know, at the highest level of these companies, these pharmaceuticals." And she said, "You designed a program that mimics what we do in a clinical trial. It doesn't use drugs, okay? And it's absolutely fantastic. And it could be a game changer on people's mental health and well-being. And you don't even work in the industry, and you did it for a nonprofit." So she was like, "This is like really amazing, you know?" And I said, "Oh, okay, well, that's good to know that you like the program so much. So thank you." So, you know, but this is, you know, what we're really trying to do. And that's really be a game changer on so many levels. And what's taken me a real long time to do, because I'm not a millionaire, I'm not a billionaire, right, is to fund these things and to develop them over time. When I actually have long COVID myself now for a year and we're in the 8th, a year and 5 months. Okay, I have headaches 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from getting COVID. So right now, you know, you're seeing me, yeah, I have a headache, okay, but it's at what's now I force myself to be at a manageable level. In other words, I can work through this type of headache. When it goes up and up, then it's a different story. And, you know, the doctors, they don't know how to treat it. I'm seeing different neurologists. I've taken so many different types of medications. And that's part of the problem that people are facing. Even when they get a mild case of what's going on in the world now, they have really no control or no understanding of what the consequences can be over the long term. And this is why it's so critical to get everybody really working together to stop these things before they get out of control, before they become pandemics, before they kill millions of people. But worse than the millions of people that they kill, which is bad enough, it's the hundreds of millions of people that are going to have long-term health consequences that are just devastating as well. Okay? Because I had a very mild case, but I also had 2 concussions since 2027. And that was the gateway for the virus, right, to basically screw with my system. Okay? So the thing is, you know, the work that we're trying to do to bring all these disparate institutions together is really critical. And it's critical in all the different fields. And, you know, that's why we have such a, you know, variety of programs, because even if you solve one thing in one area, well, that's great. Something else in another area is going to come along and basically wipe out all the good that you've done. And that's what we're talking about before with climate change in your business or your livelihood. Okay. But it's also true of the medical areas and everything else. Okay. As we get older, there's more things that can screw up, right, in our lives to affect our quality of life. And unfortunately, yeah, they don't tell us that as kids. It's something I realized when I was a kid. Hey, it's not going to get any easier when you're older. All you have is more freedom of choice on when you're going to screw up. No, or what's going to happen. You know, but I still was optimistic, and that's my nature. Okay. You know, so we're trying to go ahead and make it better and make it easier for everybody. And, you know, just I hope that there's some things in here that you see that, you know, you say, wow, I can really make an impact here. You know, I'd like to be a part of it. So,
Yeah, that's for sure.
well, thank you. Well, one of the things
That's for sure.
we're doing is these quality of life programs. And we've teamed up with an award-winning architecture company mainly out of Asia. Their headquarters was in Hong Kong, and they built the headquarters for Microsoft in Shanghai. They then worked for Apple Computer, for General Electric, basically, you know, Fortune 500 companies in different industries, different sectors. And when I met up with the principal, you know, I shared something that I thought would be helpful to the world, and that's creating quality of life hubs, so that people can be decentralized from an office and move closer and closer to where they live, so they don't have the commute, they don't have the environmental impact, but also they're working in better quality conditions than a cubicle. And they also have our quality of life programs available through the company, where essentially the company is taking corporate social responsibility and turning it inward towards their employees and their contractors, which they don't do right now with contractors, and also make programs available for spouses and children, like the financial, you know, the custom benefit plans that we talked about earlier. Because your 401k is only good for you. It's not good for your family. They don't allow it. The programs that we do, we allow it. Okay. So the thing is that in addition to developing these quality of life hubs, we're also going into sustainability and, other issues where companies can tell us what the problems are, and then we'll provide the solutions through the architectural company that we're partners with now. Okay. In addition to that, we're forming what's called a One Green World EduMart, where we're bringing in green products, services, and goods that can go into the different sectors in order to go ahead and, reduce the effects of climate change on the population. So what we do is we research into a lot of these areas to find the potentially game-changing products. Okay, and they're not all wind turbines for electricity. Okay, that's actually not that great a deal. There's better things that we can do. Okay, so but the general public doesn't know about it. So we're going to be making connections all over the world and having these companies submit, and then we'll be choosing ones that we're going to promote into the collaboration think tank to push it out to those other companies. And with the collaboration think tank, once we get it launched and established, our goal is to bring in 500 institutions every quarter into the collaboration think tank. That's over 2,000 a year. So in 10 years, we'll have a network of over 10,000 companies that reach literally hundreds and hundreds of millions of people around the world. So you're starting to see how all this is connected, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sounds big.
It is big. And then we're getting into our publications now, our other books. So February 24th of last year, I was talking in 2020, I was talking to the United Nations about doing a book on mental health for youth. They loved it. They agreed to do it. And then 2 weeks later, the UN was shut down. In March of 2020, I was supposed to speak at the Excel conference for the Wesleyan Church to 109 churches because they wanted me to do a book together with the church on domestic issues, family issues, community issues, everything from income inequality to substance abuse to domestic violence to education. Unfortunately, with COVID, right, the conference didn't happen. I had spoken at the conference before, okay, but this time they wanted to do our book, okay, and so that was stopped. We were doing a book with a international women's leadership group. That was stopped. So we were supposed to launch everything in 2020, and just like the rest of the world, right, nothing was happening. Okay,
yeah, of course.
So the thing is that over time, I added a lot more programs in the interim, some of which you've seen and some of which you'll see. But the goal is really to go ahead and get everyone to, as many people as we can, many companies as we can, to collaborate. And one of the ways also is through these books. The way the books work is that there are 16 issues that each book basically does education on. And they can be in the same area. They can be on environmental issues. They can be on mental health. They can be on even education. They can be on whatever subject that you want, or they can be on things like leadership, kindness, whatever your cause is. And then we have 2 experts in the industry that say why we need to solve this problem, and then what we need to do to solve it. So how to take action to solve it. So there's 16 issues on a particular, 16 issues that are talked about in the book, 16 problems, and then 2 experts per problem, 32 experts that are featured in the book. And then we're talking about producing with sponsorship 100,000 books, not 500 books. Okay, we're talking about a readership of 500,000. We're talking about the books forming the basis of workshops called One Planet, One People workshops that are free, that anyone who has the book can start a workshop where they go through the issues and then they read out loud what the problem is, what the experts say, and then they have a discussion group on those issues. And over the course of 8 to 12 weeks, they can form smaller teams to take action on a local, national, or global scale. So this is how you go ahead and really make a change on a large number of people. And our goal is we could go ahead and even if we did a book on mental health with this sponsor and we put out 100,000, well, we can do another 100,000 with another sponsor and another 32 experts. So we could literally have 10 books out with, 1 million in print, right? Reaching, 5 million people, but having hundreds of thousands of people going through workshops where they learn to take action on these issues. And when we do a book in English, we're not going to translate it into another language. We're not going to translate it into, Romanian. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have ambassadors in every country. We're going to have what we call laureates in every country, both adult and youth. And then we're going to have other people who are volunteers in those countries. And they're going to be charged with finding their own experts for their own problems in their own country, and then producing their own books on whatever subjects that they need. And still have a tie into our network all over the world. Because what we face here in the United States is completely different than what people face, right, in your home country, in people in China, people in Mexico, people in Brazil, people in Russia, wherever. They're all different in all different countries. We might want the same things, but the problems we have are different.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that's our book series, and that's one of them. There's other things. We have a memorial book. I wrote a book on how to keep the joy and the happiness of a lost loved one alive, so that you have a keepsake for yourself, your family, and future generations. We're going to work on getting sponsorships for the book so that we can give them away. The sponsors can give them away to anyone in the world who lost a loved one due to COVID-19, because that loss that people felt, right, will be felt for years and years and years. And they need some way to heal, and they need some way to go ahead and really cherish the people that they lost. And this is one of the ways that they can do it. So got that. And now we're getting into our programs, right? Where if you're interested in PR, there's a whole bunch of PR that can be done and everything else that we talked about, right? But these are really designed to get people's attention. One Table, One World. We're going to have a celebrity chef every week, right? Prepare a meal that people all over the world can cook, not what they would cook for a Michelin restaurant, a 5-star restaurant. Okay, people can't afford that. Okay, but the thing is, they can cook a favorite dish from their home country, and then we'll spend a week publicizing that. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, people around the world can replicate that menu, and they can invite their friends in to share that meal, and they can do it on the internet. And this is how we show we've got one planet, one people. We're all together, okay? And we can come together and make new friends over food.
Yeah, sounds fantastic.
So that's that program.
I mean, the whole program, everything that I heard, I like it very much. It sounds fantastic for me.
Thank you.
I mean, I had moments in this conversation thinking, is this true, or is this? I mean, not. I will not like to use the word scam, but it's what I believe and what I want to do. So yeah, it's really amazing what you are doing and what you start and what you are generating. And yeah, definitely,
Thank you.
it's gonna make an impact. I mean, I think made already, but in the future, I think we made it as well, and I would like to be part of this.
Well, I'm going to show you how you can be
It's
a
like
big
culture.
part. Well, the culture and actually the benefits, because what we want are people to come in with the right mindset and then be really a part of what we're doing. We have people who are volunteering, but also I feel like we're at a point where we have to launch all these programs. In order to do that, we want really motivated people, and we're gonna, for the ones that produce, we're gonna compensate them really well so that they don't want to go elsewhere, that they want to have a home in what we're doing, but they want to build it up and up and up and really have that impact. Because if we get, whatever number that's going to be, well, that's going to go ahead and really make a difference. Not about to our organization, but to other people around the world. And you'll see that we have the systems and the breakdowns of how we're going to implement this really all over the globe. Okay.
I mean,
That's
that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. Yep. Be in all 200 countries, right, within 6 months of launch. Okay. So we're launching basically in September, right? Definitely, everything by October. And then we got 6 months, right, to get in all 200 countries. And, that's just a paper goal. Really, it's more important, the people that we're really impacting and the numbers of what we're doing. But we want to really make sure that we're covering, as I say, all corners of the world, even though it doesn't have corners. Okay. So,
yeah.
The SAW challenge is we want people to end all types of meetings with a smile and a wave. Okay. Because we don't treat ourselves as well as we need to. We go through a day and we got, all these problems that we're dealing with. So that's why sometimes I get people on meetings and they're like this. They're like, okay, right. They're thinking about, what's this guy talking about? I got to go ahead and figure out what I'm going to have for dinner. Okay. So that's a hard thing for people to deal with sometimes. So the thing is that no matter what you're doing, we want you to express, right, kindness, gratitude, appreciation for other people who are taking the time to go ahead and meet with you, share with you, whether it's a professor in school, even though they're paid for it, whether it's, a meeting, okay, for your company, whether it's your congregation in a church, or whether you're a student in the school, right, and you're all doing it. And what happens when you do that is, right, you'll impact the recipients as well. And then the goal is, hopefully, they'll turn around and during the course of the day, they'll smile a little bit more at other people that they see, other people that they meet, other people that they interact with. And these little ripples that we start, if we get enough of them going, they become waves. And then if we get enough of the waves going around the world, it can become a tsunami for change. And it all starts with you and a smile. And it's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay. So you already do it. Okay. Right. And I really appreciate that. And I really applaud you, because that's half the battle, right? You don't have to change your behavior. You exhibit it already. So when you're going to be talking to people and you're talking about, let's say, something like this, right? People are going to get it just from looking at you. You practice what you're, what you're preaching. And that's a really good thing. But imagine if we got companies to do this. Okay. And those companies employ, right, anywhere from, 5 people, right, to, 100,000 people, to 1 million people. Okay. And they adopted it as part of their culture. If the schools did it from young kids, that's part of putting the EQL program into schools. And then it ripples up. What a huge impact that would have.
Very huge.
So it all starts with something so easy as a smile. We have, right, the most popular food in the world is pizza. Okay. So we have the Great Pizza Peace Plan Challenge, where people can go ahead and over pizza, they can take the PAC pledge. And the pact pledge is really simple. It takes 20 seconds to do. I hereby make a pact to treat others with respect and kindness and to go through life from this day forward, acting towards others as I would wish to be treated myself. This is Lyle in New York for plannedacts.org and One Planet, One People. Okay. Now, I can do that on my cell phone, right, through the PAC app, and then it will go into the world video map. And the goal is to have people in all the countries in the world speaking all the different languages saying exactly the same thing, so that you can go into any continent, you can drill down, you can go to Japan on our app, and you can listen to people doing the PAC pledge in Japanese. Okay, because it doesn't matter what country you're from, what language you speak. Okay, we all want the same things in life. We all want respect and we all want quality of life.
Of course.
And that's what we want to give people all over the world. And once a month, we're going to have the Great Pizza Peace Plan Party. And that is from Friday through Sunday. People are going to use that day to have, one of those days, one of those meals to have pizza, do the PAC pledge, right? Get other people to do it, share stories of kindness on social media, right? Things that they do with the organization. And that's also how you show unity and you build connections, because everything we do, we're going to have separate communities for these different programs. Okay, so that's the Great Pizza Peace Plan. We have
like
$1. Sorry.
Sounds like a good plan.
Good plan. Thank you. Especially, we have the $1 challenge. Actually, it's the one challenge, and that is to raise $1 for every one person on the planet, right, by the year 2025. When the population is 8 billion people, we want to raise $8 billion for the organization. Think about that. Okay.
Only with that, yeah, I was thinking about this in the past also. We had a campaign in Romania to save a called palace. It was old and nice, and it was so damaged by the nature, but because people let it to be damaged, and
Right.
the awareness was give one Romanian leu, the currency, for the Atheneum. That was the name. It is the name of the building. So.
Whoop, you went on mute. You went on mute. Oh, okay. One sec.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. You're on your other call,
I'm
right?
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no
unfortunately, I have to go.
Yeah. I understand. No problem at all. I appreciate the time that you've taken. So let me quick and tell you the next step. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to give you my phone number. It's actually in the email. Wait. I'm not sure because you didn't go through. You went through Taproot, so you didn't go through. Let me go into the chat. Let me stop the share. And let me give you in the chat my phone number.
Okay.
Or you have the office number. But I'll give you my direct number because this is actually the best way to get in touch with me. Okay. And what you can do is you can text me and tell me when's another time where we can do some follow-up. Now, what I'll do in the interim is I will send you what we call our success team profile and our memorandum of understanding. That's what we do with all our volunteers. Okay.
Okay.
Once you do that, then I can actually send you the
Okay. Now I have your phone number.
okay, great. I can then send you the the agreement that we use for people that we bring in on the business development side. Okay.
Okay.
So first you do the volunteer side with the MOU. And then from there, you can then I'm able to go ahead and give you the agreement that we use, which spells out, right, how we operate and everything else, and the programs that are available for you to work on, and then what your responsibilities are and what your compensation would be.
Okay.
And then from there, you're going to say, we're going to meet again. We're going to talk. You're going to ask me whatever questions you have. And then you're going to say, okay, I'm interested in this and this initially. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and we pretty much limit what someone does to like only 3 different types of programs initially, not 24 of them.
Yeah.
Okay? So that
Yeah.
way you can concentrate on those areas. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be making connections with people, and you're going to be doing the business side of it. But in terms of really explaining the program to them initially, if it needs to be outside the paperwork that we give, okay, I'll do the explaining.
Okay.
You don't have the experience yet.
Of course.
So
Of course.
I'll do it. You'll listen, you'll understand. And after you listen to it X number of times and you're taking notes and everything else, then and listen to recordings, you'll be able to go ahead and do it. But
Yeah.
you also have the opportunity to build a team at the same time where, like I said before, right, you can achieve your, your objectives faster and also earn money from what the team does because you're managing the team. Okay. So you got to go. That's all I'm going to say because I know when to cut it short. Okay.
Yeah. So next thing is to give you a time frame when we can
When we can
talk.
speak again, I will
Mhm.
get you the paperwork today or tomorrow for you to go through, right? As
Okay.
quickly as you do that. The success team profile is very short. You do that, it'll take you, 10, 15 minutes to do. And then once we get that back in, then we'll go ahead and give you the work related things. Okay.
Great.
And then, the goal is for you to go ahead and really enjoy what you do, really have an impact, and then make what you need to make to have that quality of life yourself. And that's what we
Yeah.
want people to do. Okay.
Easy and nice. Sounds
I don't think you're going to have a problem with with what we do. So that's a good thing. I think
Yeah.
you'll do really well. So, because you can come at it from both sides. You can come at it from the technical, right, side of dealing with economics, and also you understand, right, the psychology side and the public relations side and how to
Yeah.
connect with people. But we're going to give you the steps that you need to follow in order to be successful with any program you do. They're called action packs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. And the action pack will say, okay, this is how you start. This is what you do. This is your first step. Now, this is your
Yeah.
second step. And guess what comes after the second step?
Third and so on.
Oh, my goodness. See how far ahead of the game you are? Okay.
Okay,
Now I'm just messing with you because it's 11 o'clock. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
I'm waiting for the material, and I'll be back with the time frame
Okay.
for
Very cool.
for us actually.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you taking
so
the time
much.
and being flexible tonight. Thank you.
And you too. You were flexible, so thank you.
Okay. So what do we do at the end of our meetings?
Oh, wave and smile.
I can't get anything by you, right? You're too good a student. Okay. You got it. Smile and wave.
I try to do my best.
You do your best. Very good. Well, keep going because I'm not ending the call until you raise the hand again. Okay. I'll talk to you
Okay.
soon. Have a good
Talk
night.
to you soon.
Okay,
You
bye-bye.
too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.